All right. How is everyone today? How is everyone today? I just got back from camping and I'm tired. So I look real good, I'm sure. You didn't be out on come here to see this pretty face. You come here to see this amazing code that you see on the screen. That's not true at all. Yeah, so what's up, everybody? How's it going? Drop a hi, drop a wave, drop a whatever, middle finger in the chat. Say hi. See what's going on. I think there's a few people hanging out here today, but I don't know. I can't tell. Numbers lie. My numbers lie. Cool. So, we are on part 4. I think it's part 4 of our Schema bot, which, our Schema integration that we're working on. And so far, I've been failing horribly to write good PHP code to get this to work. So I have to remember where we were now. I believe, so we have properties and allowed types. I think where we left off was we were going to figure out that there's a type called RDFS class, and that's going to, then we're going to make our patterns based on that, because we don't need a pattern for each individual property. There's different types. We can just run through this and see what happens here. Jump up over here, and so we see we've got. I'm not even sure why that ran like that, but that's fine. So we look at our type. Our type is no. Type is already a property. So we have property, we have type. So this is going to skip through this one, right? So we're not going to get there. So this is a class. If it's a class, what is the pattern? Is what we're calling it. So properties, allowed types, and node. So node is the so node is basically the representation in schema.org. So here we've got properties. So we can see we've got 414 allowed properties, which is crazy. So I guess what we can do is skip through that, and we can start to look through these things, right? And now, if we look at the properties, anything with an uppercase, it's going to most likely be a class, I believe. This may not have any classes. Okay, so this might be a good one. So what we're doing here is we're looping through. We're getting all the property definitions. We're looping. For each property as property, we're going to get the property definition from our patterns. So there should be. Let's drop a breakpoint there and see where we end up. So we're there. That's not a very helpful breakpoint. So we stop here. So property def is an array. So it should have. So the node should be schema citation, and it should tell us what the allowed types are, what it can be represented as. Which is kind of cool. So this doesn't have any properties, which makes sense. Oh, some metal in the background? Yes, you are hearing metal in the background. Flex. I changed the music because this is more me. I prefer the metals than the chill stuff. This makes me less angry, actually, as weird as that sounds. Oh, what happened there? That's weird. Why did that jump through on its own? Oh no, something's going on. Yeah, got some mail. So anyways, where am I now? So we should be able to, I lost, okay, so this is a class. Oh no, what is this? So this should drop us into here. So in property def, again, we should see, so this can be represented, what is this thing? Creative work can be represented as a creative work. I feel like that's wrong. I feel like that's not correct. I'm going to stop this. So I think there might still be some weird stuff going on in here, because this is where we define, this defines the list of items that the key, finds the list of items that can be used to represent the ID. That's a hard way of explaining that. I'm not quite explaining that correctly. So I guess, do we need to figure that out? So, okay. So I think we're gonna just drop it straight down to here. That's where I'm gonna put a, because we need to debug this, I believe. Okay, we're gonna jump back over here. Okay, so this is the ID is creative work. The pattern, where is that? Is here. It's got 114 properties, which is right. Type should be class. Yeah, so it's got 114 properties. So this is right. So now we should be able to loop through all these properties, right? Which is what we were doing. We were stepping through. Now we're gonna have the first property, which would be citation. So we'll skip through that. So now we should have the property def should be citation. Remember that is should be node should be citation. Yeah. So now we're gonna look it up in here. So for each, so allowed types. So let's jump into, let's say there, right? So in the allowed types, as type, we should have, so this is a creative work. So a citation can be represented by a creative work. So now we have to figure out, so creative work is a class. So I think this is where we need to, oh, Carlton Gordon, hey, is chatting in here from YouTube. We are working on a schema integration. We're all chatting in Twitch though, so you're welcome to hang out in YouTube, but there's a bunch more folks hanging out in Twitch, which you know, come hang out with us if you like, just so you get the benefit of chat, and you can find me. You can probably look me up, Brian Wilcher Codes, but if I were to, I would do something like this. Right, you can, is this gonna go out? Let's see. Oops. There you go. Oh wait, no. I gotta do it up here. Sorry. This is gonna, sorry for the double, whatever here, but it's, so you're welcome to come join us here to hang out and chat. Otherwise, hang out on YouTube. Appreciate you being here regardless. Okay, back to what I was doing. So I think we need some kind of recursiveness here. So let's write a recursive function. Let's try to write a recursive function. There's a lot going on here. So let's write this. Let's write function. This is going to be recursive. I'm going to say get. What do we want to get? Get property definition, right? And it's going to take, which of course I spelled that wrong. Nishan. Okay, so this, what is this function going to do? This function retrieves basically the bottom, the lowest level, I guess, type for a property. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So now we're kind of doing, I'm doing this with functions. Maybe we should try to do this with a class. I don't really know. What do you think? Let's do a poll. New poll. Should class or functions? Functions, class, you pick. All right. You pick. All right, here we go. We're gonna start a poll. You tell me what you think we should do. If we should do a function or a class in here. Because I think we've kind of getting to the point. I can't remember who said it last week. Somebody was it Bad Dude Court? Bad Dude Court, was it you that said that we should start trying to dry this up a bit? I can't remember. If it was you, awesome. If it wasn't you, just take credit. That's cool too. What are the results looking at like here? Let's see. No one's voting? You ungrateful. Come on. I can't do this if you're... You vote breakdown? Let's see. 0%. Come on now. Vote for me. Vote for me. I'm not doing anything till y'all vote. Anyways, I think there's probably going to be, so we do like a class, we could call this schema builder, right? Schema pattern builder, right? Do something like that. Why is this yelling? Oh, it's duck flagging. Hi all, Paul! Welcome to the stream. There is a poll running right now that no one's voting on. Oh, Bymer Banks. Bye, Mr. Banks. Bye, Mr. Banks. Hello, welcome to the stream. Thanks for hanging out with me. Did I just get a follow and didn't get any notification of that? Well, that's weird.
Kevin!
Oh, I'm hearing stuff. If I didn't, looks like press, or I'm not getting any follows here. Oh, come on now. I gotta check something. Something's weird. Something's afoot. Don't like it. That is uncool. Weird. Sorry about that. That's my bad. I didn't. Kevin. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry. I think I got a couple followers there. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. Looks like maybe it was Press Navigator and by Mr. Banks. Thanks for the follow. Sorry, I didn't hear it. Maybe my Firebot failed on me there. Don't really know. Don't know what happened. How are we doing with this thing? Oh, class. Okay, we got one vote for class. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. If you don't know where to vote, it's in the chat. Just go check it out. I don't know where else to send you. All right, let that run for 5 minutes. But if you do it as a class, maybe we should just do it as a class. I don't know. So, this is sailing me. New line character. Yeah, fine, sure. Okay, awesome. So this is going to be our class to deal with stuff. This is a very technical term. I hope you're okay with that. And maybe we should set up the composer. Maybe we should do that. Because that's a pretty modern way of doing things, is it not? Is it strange that for themes I like functions when I'm building plugin or the MVC? No, I don't think it's strange at all. Bad to core. I don't think that's strange. I think that's I think that it's like because you're used to like functions.php in themes, right? Which is typically like copy and paste in functions and action with a function. That you're following that pattern. I don't think it's weird. I mean, I think you're weird, but I don't think it's weird. Just kidding. No, I mean, whatever. Like, whatever floats your boat, really. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong way of doing it. I think I've worked on projects where everything was a singleton. Like, every single thing was a singleton, which is clean. It looks nice, but there are people that would cringe to that, and I've worked on stuff that was all just functions everywhere, right? The problem, the only thing about functions, like the thing about classes, is that you have to instantiate these classes. They have to live places, right? And so, having something that's a singleton makes that a little easier. I'm not arguing for or against singletons, but the idea that you can just call a function, right, and you can just get instance and then call something on it. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But yeah. So let's check our poll. How's our poll doing? Still only got one vote. 2 votes. Oh my lord. Considering there's 4 people watching me right now, or maybe more. What's the purpose of the schema builder? Great question. Well, so what we're going to do is the idea was, and Paul, who's in here somewhere, has talked to me about this a couple of times. Basically, the idea of taking schema.org and generating patterns based on those properties. So, in the example of having, let's say, a job posting, so if we look for a job posting in here, now this is specific to what Paul was talking about, but if we have job posting, you can see that the job posting takes certain things. So the date posted, date or time. So we're going to build out patterns that represent each of these sort of classes, I think. That's kind of where we're going with this. It's super broad and there's a ton of nuance and something's trying to update here. Let's yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Okay, oh, here we go. View the results. Let's see. We got 2 votes and you both pick class. So let's just go with class. All right. That's what we're kind of building. So what I had originally done was basically had created this this giant init function, right? So we can do these things. We can kind of run these things, right? So I think what we can do. So we're gonna go schema equals new schema. Oh, do I have a namespace in here? Namespaces are always good. Namespace. I like namespaces. This is going to be schema builder. All right. Oh, not. There we go. What? Yeah. Namespace. Where's that yelling at me? Do I have 2 lines? What? Oh, what's going on? All right, so we're going to do a schema builder namespace, and then down here in our class, we're going to call it pattern builder because I don't think we need to do that. New pattern builder. All right. So this is typically how you do it without having like a class, or sorry, like without using like a singleton. You have to have an instance of this thing running. Now I think this is probably okay to do it this way. I mean, I'm sure my class-based PHP is a little bit rusty. Well, I know it is, but so in here we're gonna want to do some things. We're gonna want to have an init method, I think. So public function. How do you want to do that? Oh God, like init, and all this stuff is gonna run on the init hook, right? So. And what we'll end up doing is schema like a init, right? So we're gonna create an instance of it there. Then we're gonna run the init, and then this will add the hooks, I think. So we basically have add action. This is I'm not sure I like this, to be honest, but I think that's what we'll end up doing. And because this now binds this pretty tightly to actions. So maybe what we should do is not do that. Maybe instead of an init method, maybe we have, what's this? Like, you know, like some people would call hooks here, maybe, right? And it would instantiate all the hooks. That might be a better way of doing it, because what we can do is then we can say on the init method, which is what we're doing here. All right, we're doing this here, right? We're going to call a couple of things. So what we can do is okay. So I think you can pass an array in here and say what this, and then the name of the function. Which we need a couple of functions. So the first one we want to do basically what we want to do here is we're gonna retrieve the schema. Let's do that. So that's the first thing that we're gonna do. Is down here. We're gonna create a function called public function retrieve schema, right? And then in here we should be able to say like that, right? Okay. So then I'm gonna say die, because this is how you test things really professionally. Die schema, right? And then if I run that, right? So this should basically, this should run hooks. We should add this thing, and it should kill that. And let's see what happens. Ooh. Oh, what? Create block schema builder block init not found function name. Oh Lord, what have I done? That's not a, what is that? Create block schema builder block init was not found or invalid name, and that seems very strange to me. Is anyone seeing anything what I'm doing wrong? Oh, where's that? Oh, you know why I did that? Do you know why that failed? I'll tell you right now. Because we're now in a namespace. So what I need to do is I need to prepend that with a namespace. I think it actually goes that way. And that is now going to say, look inside this namespace that we defined here, right? So keep that in mind. So this should maybe is the other room. I can never remember. I think it's that way. I think about it. There we go. Okay. So so this is just saying, this is the same as calling basically like this, right? This is the same as calling it like that, but we're using this PHP helper to do so. Yeah. See, Bad Dude Court already knew. He already knew what he did, right? And I think he's better at this than I am. You're awesome. Okay, cool. So that's good. So now we have schema firing, right? So in here, we can basically steal all of this junk in here, and we're gonna. Oh, why am I trying to switch tabs? I don't think I want to switch tabs. We're gonna plunk it in here, but there's a couple things that we want to do. We're gonna do const. It's gonna be patterns, and it's gonna be an empty array. God, I haven't done this in a while. Maybe private. You can see I haven't written a lot of classes in a while. Why is that patterns is declared but not used? That's fine. Because this is where we're gonna store. Actually, do we need? What do we do? What do we do with this? So maybe what we need is we're gonna need a private. This is gonna be, what is this? What is this? Raw schema. That's also gonna be an array, I guess. All right. So that's telling me it's not used. That's fine. Okay. Oh wait, no. Do I want to do that? Wait a minute. So we're gonna retrieve the schema. So last time what we did was we looked for a transient, right? And the transient existed. If we didn't have the transient, it was gonna get all this stuff. So I think what we need to do is we're going to down here. We're gonna set whatever this raw schema equals, and we're gonna set it to this value here, right? So now this is gonna set the class property or member, I guess, to hold the schema, the raw data, right? So we have that. So that's going to retrieve the schema, which is super duper cool. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we're going to go, but we want these to run in a certain order, do we not? So this is all attached to the same hook. We want that to run, but then we want this to run next. Oh, you know what we'll do? This is what we'll do. Instead of, I'm going to attach it to that hook, I'm going to create another function. Function. This is going to be process pattern list, right? And it's going to take. So basically, the next part is in here. So we need to do. So then we're gonna take this, and we're gonna grab that and copy this. So this is all gonna get chunked into here. So this is gonna create. This is basically gonna create the patterns, right? This is gonna create the pattern list from the raw schema. So, and then I need to replace all of those with that. So I'll just do this right now. Edit, we're gonna replace that with that, and we're gonna go bang. Not there. Not there. Don't you start with me. You know what? Stop. You just stop. We've gotten here. So let's do this manually. So we got this raw schema. I think that's the only place we're calling this raw schema. So the only other thing now is we don't need this because we have a class member for that. And then we're going to say this patterns. We're going to look in, no, we're going to look in patterns in here again. Right. Patterns. Now let's look. This patterns. This patterns. This patterns. You know what's really fun about refactoring? How much this is going to break when I go to run it, and it just doesn't work. That's the best part about refactoring. Okay, so we have this thing to run these pattern lists, right? So I guess there's two ways that we can look at it, running it, and I'm not sure what the best. So we could run it here, process patterns here. The only issue with that is that now we've got this function that's really heavily tied to this function, and testing it is going to be hard. I guess we could test this one by itself, right? I'm Ed Meshkin. He's from YouTube. Hi, I know it's a scoping video. What extensions are you go to for via? Oh, I don't have any real. I have a couple of WordPress ones. Can I export my? Show running extensions. Can I export that somehow? GitHub Copilot, Live Share, which I never use. Copilot Chat, Dev Containers, Get Lens Prettier, PHP-CS. There's this WordPress hooks IntelliSense, which is quite nice. WordPress specific ones. I think that's about it, really. Yeah. I have one that I wrote that doesn't seem to be showing up in here, but that's fine. We don't need to worry about that one. Okay. Got here. Anyways, Ahmed, we are actually in Twitch as well. If you want to come over and chat, you're welcome to hang out on YouTube too. Whatever you think. Whatever you think. All right. So we could process the patterns here. Generate the pattern list. Twitch for the win. Hey, look who it is.
Oh great, it's Philip.
It's Philip. Philip's here. It's delayed, but it's here. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna do this for now. I'm gonna say this. What is this? Process patterns list. So we're just gonna run that. Right, and then what it's going to do is it's going to look for the raw schema. So this sort of ensures that this gets set and then this gets run. Now, the other way that we could do it is we could have it receive a parameter. Now, a parameter makes it easy for testability. But in our case, I mean, in our case, it might be nice to have that. But anyways, so we could say this could be a schema. Right, so we could do that. We could pass the schema, and then instead of this, we could pass this .raw schema. Right, so then we're not coupling this too tightly. Right, we're setting that, and then we're gonna process the patterns, and then here we'll just change. We'll change all the instances of this place with. No $sign schema is what I'm looking for. Right, so I can replace that one, and that should be it. Right, I think this is better for testability. What do they call this? The dependency injection? Is that what they call it? Don't ask me. I don't know what I'm talking about. So now down here, so this generates the pattern, right? You know what? We can make this even better and just say we could do it this way. We could say this. Patterns equals that, and then in here we can just generate a pattern we can just redo what we did before. Have this, I like this better. Pattern, we'll set up an empty array. Patterns, right? Not with the L, right? And I'll just change all of this. Replace to set it back to patterns, and this should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's not what I want. And then jump down that one. That should be it. And then at the very end, we're gonna return. Where does this start? It's down here. So we're gonna return patterns. So now this becomes completely testable because all this needs is a schema, and we just need to make sure that it returns what it needs to return. So it's gonna either return an empty. You know what? I need to put this up here because if there's no schema or whatever, I don't know what falsy, it is still going to return an empty array. So we want that up there. Okay, so that's probably good. So then, because what's the next part? So that's handled that. So this is like retrieve. We call it retrieve and process. Huh? Schema. Yeah, it would fail, but what it would do is it would return an empty array, so we can then act on patterns and say, hey, that's empty. You know, we don't want to deal with that, right? Because I've got it returning outside of the if. Oh, you're saying if you don't pass schema? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, if schema was not passed, then it would fail. But if schema was passed, but it was false, for example, this, now you have no default. I know I have no default here, but what I'm returning is patterns. I'm not returning schema, right? So if schema is false, for example, right, I probably need to make this a little bit smart, right? Then patterns is defined as an array up here, and then my if statement runs. This fails, then this still returns patterns. So it's just going to return an empty array. I mean, maybe we could set it to false. Maybe that's what we should do. But this is probably not a good. Kev, hi Kev. I mean, we could do this and ensure it's always an array. And then it's just gonna, but then all of this stuff's gonna fail because none of that stuff is in there. So,
right, it's KevXB.
There he is. Right. This is like very. I'm not doing any proper type checking. Like I should be saying is like I should be looking for like does that exist? And I'm making a lot of assuming. Yeah, schema day. This might be the last schema day for a little bit. Not that I'm getting sick of it or anything, but you know, might wanna. I think we wanna. Saying if you call direct pattern build. Oh, I see what you're saying. So this should, well, it has, then this needs to be protected, I think. Because I don't think we want to be able to, do we? Public? Maybe it just doesn't need to be public. I see what you're saying. So if you call it by itself and it doesn't take anything, then it fails. So so maybe I should do this because but that's gonna fail. That's gonna fail, like completely fail, pass a PHP error, right? Which is maybe what I want. Like if I do this, right, and down in here, I do. Yeah. Right? And then past that, it's going to fatal out. It's even yelling at me that it needs a thing, right? And I think I want it to fatal. Don't I? I think that's a pretty fundamental thing. To be able to pass that. Like, what, I guess this is a philosophical question, I guess. What makes more sense? For in the case of like, okay, so I'm trying to process a pattern list that has an argument, right? Param, the schema, and the type. What is the type? Is it actually an array? I don't even remember. What does it return? Should be an array, I guess. It's an array. The array of schema. I always get that backwards. There we go. Okay. Without a default. Yeah, I know, but I don't think, personally, I don't think I want someone to be able to call this function without passing the pattern list to process. And I think it makes sense to fatal it, right? In this case, it's not meant to, it needs to process something. I mean, if you do this, it won't fail, right? Or maybe it will fail. What is this? Pattern does not have a method retrieve schema. Oh, I think I called it something wrong. Sorry. That's me. One sec. Screen retrieve and process schema. That's what I need to do. Right? Like, you're 100% right that if I don't pass a default, it will fail if people don't call it. But if people don't call it right, that's their problem, in my opinion. Like, I think an API, this is my personal opinion, an API should tell the developer, holy crap, you screwed up. Rather than being like, oh, it's working, but it's not working the way you want it to. That's kind of my, like, unexpected results, I think, are and I'm on my soapbox here a little bit. My mentality around this is that it needs to fail and needs to tell you why it failed. If it works but gives you weird results, I think that's harder to figure out, right? That's my opinion. So maybe this should be a protected function, right? Because it's being called internally or even private. It does make it harder to test, but I think, I don't know. That's what I think. So this is gonna fail. So we'll get rid of that. So again, so the hooks fire. So far, so good. Okay. So now what we need to do is we're gonna need to. Thing is, this just kind of chains everything, right? So we process the patterns, and now we're gonna call this process the schema to make list patterns, right? And then after that, we need to basically, this is where we're going to be generate pattern list, generate the pattern list, and generate and register the pattern list. Does that seem right? Like everything is hooked into this one function, which is basically, we call hooks. This is sort of the entry. This is the entry point for all the things, right? And this hooks into init to start the show. Basically, that's what that is. All right. This pattern's not being used. It will be used later. So this is going to set that to patterns, right? Boom, and then we need to generate that. I'm starting to feel like I'm just wrapping a bunch of functions into a class rather than actually utilizing class stuff here. Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think now. But anyhow, okay, so that's that. So now let's okay, so how far have we gotten in here? Basically, we've done this part, and we've done the raw schema part. So this is the part that we need to do next. The only thing we haven't done here is this. We haven't registered that. So I think what I'll do, because to make this testable, I'm gonna do this in here, because this is just gonna registers the block. This may not be the right place for it. Category. I think this should probably go in a slightly different place. I'm thinking again from like testability. We don't want to be reliant on things that could break this, right? So maybe like if I test this function by itself, then this is the only thing that won't work. We'll have to mock that if we want to add tests for that. And there's not really any way around that. In fact, this is even kind of weird to test because we're not testing our code doesn't test anything. Like this, testing this function won't provide us any insight, I think, into if there's an issue with this class, because what we're doing is we're using WordPress API dependent on a third-party API that we can't have any access over. We don't need to test, like, this is probably not a function that we would ever test because it's so reliant on everything external that it doesn't actually do us any good, right? We have to mock everything, including the response. And I mean, you could test it. I just don't think it's necessary. This is something that we can test because we just need to pass information to it. Yeah, I don't know. Am I thinking wrong on that? I don't think I am, but okay. So let's look at this next part now. The next part is I don't need any of this stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to generate patterns from list. So down here, let's write a little function down here. Maybe that just sort of hides some of this stuff. So it's getting hard to read it. Let's do that. So we'll do another little function called public generate patterns from schema. So this is going to take pattern list, right? Again, I'm not sure because it's going to get past that from the instance of here. Create block patterns from the pattern list, from a pattern list. Should probably also type this, right? It's going to need to be an array. This is also going to need to be an array. And that doesn't have any parameters. Param. Type it properly. Param is an array. Call it. A list of schema. Schema.org entries. Okay, pattern list. There we go. Okay, so let's scroll up here. Okay, so in here, so we're gonna loop through our patterns. A lot of looping going on here. A lot of looping. So oops. Okay, so we got pattern list is ID pattern. What is this? Oh yeah, of course it's empty. Of course it's empty. I haven't done anything with it yet, idiot. All right. So, okay, so what I want to do, we're going to skip through all of this. Should just probably copy and paste the majority of this crap out there. So, I'm making progress. I'm not making progress. I'm just moving code around. And I'm hoping that this is going to be good. Okay, so let's do that. Put that in there.
It's thrown you error.
Sorry, thrown errors here. Okay, so again, this is the type that we want, and then so we want to skip the classes or anything that's not classes. I think that's what we want to do. We're gonna, yeah. I'm just wondering if like this should be inclusive or exclusive. I feel like it should be exclusive. It should just continue through. I don't want to mess with anything that's not that. Okay, so then if it is, what we need to do here is we need to generate. Okay, so I'm going to take the properties right now. Oop. Right, so then we're going to grab the properties, loop properties, right, to create the pattern. So this is going to be, okay, so I have to empty for each statement again. Okay, so then get the property definition. Okay, so this is where things start to need some help, I think, right? So if I drop a thing in there, let's see what happens. Let's see if I can get this far. I haven't even tested this yet. Oh, it's not being called. Duh. All right, so now back in here, we got this. So we're gonna say, I'm gonna call this. Oh God, come on. This is gonna be generate patterns from schema, and we're gonna pass this dot. See, I've been using JavaScript a lot. Patterns, right? So that should run this. It does. Okay, so we're in here. So where are we now? So we've skipped past the first one. So at this point, we've got the creative work, right? So the ID is creative work, and its pattern. It's got 114 properties, and then it's schema. Okay, so the first item that we're processing, I think, right now is schema, or sorry, is citation. So this is going to be the property definition. Okay, cool. That's cool. So now in here, I think what I need to do is keep looking something up. I have to wrap my head around this a little bit. I gotta wrap my head around it a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna just wrap an if statement there so we can actually see. Because I don't think property def. Where am I? I don't think property def is like that's not initialized yet. So I'm gonna put this in here and drop that in there. I don't think I have to stop this. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna turn that off. That's not super helpful. And refresh that. No errors. Run this. Boop boop. Okay, so property def. Oh, because I'm not looking at. Okay, because I need to go. So this is pattern. List is pattern. So then I have to look it up in patterns list, not in patterns. So let's restart that. So property def is now okay. So citation. So the allowed types are these two things. And text. Okay. So at this point, okay, this is where we get into the weeds now, because what I need to understand is basically, so these are the allowed types. So I have to be able to parse through these allowed types and return. Basically, I don't really know what I need to return now, because creative work is a class. It's a complex type, right? So so if I look at okay, let's do this. We're gonna go allowed. Allowed types. Like if I look up what's this property def, right? Property def. It's going to be allowed types. What I need to look up is basically this. I'm going to hard copy this right now, and the property is going to be what? It's going to be schema creative work. So what I want to see is how far this loops down. Basically, I'm gonna stop this. Put one in there, and then put one there. Okay, so let's see if I can redo this, because I think this is where the recursiveness has to come up. So this is a citation. So I jump into test. Test is an array. It's got a bunch of properties. So the idea is creative work. Its property is citation. Test is pulling in. So a lot of times it can be so a citation can be a creative work. So this is the looping part. So I'm wondering now if we just need to like look for the simple types, right? So if I were to do this, right? Refresh this back in here. You can see we got that, and you jump in here. So test is like an array. So this is the node class. Type is schema data type, and then text. So I wonder if that's just what we need to do. Because if it's a class, it can have its own thing. But so we don't. Yeah, I think we're gonna need to keep it simple. Right? Because a class can have a property that in itself can be defined as another class. Like if you look at something like this, like, where am I here? What was I looking at? Citation. This is what creative work was the one? Creative work, I think. So if you have a creative work, you have a citation, which is here. Citation can be creative work or text. So it can be self-referential, which is a lot of fun. You know, a comment is of class comment type. Right, and so a comment can be of any of these, you know, any of these type, downvote, upvote, shared content. Like there's a lot, right? There's a lot of things. Or only other simple options. Sorry, what do you mean by that, Paul? We just like default to whatever the sort of the base type is. Is that what you're thinking? Oh, okay. So we'll just essentially make each property a simple data type. I think that's probably the right way of going with it, right? If there's a simple type, offer that. So if we were to look up, I want to look at a couple of things here. I think that's probably the way to go for now, because it's going to be super complicated to know, because the one problem that we're going to have here is the one problem that we're absolutely going to have is how, like, we can assemble something that has a property that represents everything, but the problem there is like how do we know what the user wants? But we can cross that bridge in a minute, like later, right? So let's get the actual let's get these properties happening. So in test 2, so we've got, what is this? Node class. It's creative work. The type is our RDFS class. So I think if it's a class, we skip it again, right? And then so test 1 is node. If it's a class type, it's got 2 types. Oh, interesting. Oh, I think we have to do this differently. So creative work. So we're at pattern. Let's do pattern. Pattern has got node. It's got. Oh, interesting. That is super weird. Why does that have a type of our RDFS class, which is expected, but then down here, it's schema creative work. Oh, it's also got the RDFS class. So I think. Oh, that's super weird. So this node doesn't have, it's only got one type, and this has got one type, but this one's got, this is a class. Okay, it's getting more complicated. So I think we need to do this. Okay, if so, I think we need to make this a bit more solid. This is where our recursiveness, I think, can help. So let's say let me think this through. So that's the type. So type can be an array. So we can, not that, get out of here. So what we're gonna want to check here is, so we got the type. So in here, check for array. So this is if type, what is it? Is array type, right? So if it's an array, I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to kill these breakpoints because I just want to see what comes in. Yeah, I just want to see what comes in here. So I want to skip through this. I want to run this. So that's an array. So type, where's type? Type is an array. So this has got schema and data type. Okay, cool. So this is, the schema's text. And its property definition has got allowed types, and it can be, oh, property is abridged, right? What's going on here? Pattern is, schema is text. Okay, so the type is, okay, so if it's an array, is there any, I'm just wondering if there's ever a case where we don't, oh, look at that. Okay. I think we want to skip all the data types. You think? I think that's what we want to. So if it's an array, and what is it, index of? Is that? Oh no, PHP. PHP index of index. Is it in? Oh my god, it's in array. That's ridiculous. I keep forgetting that. Okay, and in array, we want schema data type. Okay, so in array should take the, that's super not helpful. What is it? So mixed is the needle, so it's going to be schema data type, right? If I can ever spell it correctly, right? And this is going to be, the haystack is going to be type, and this is to true. We want that to be strict, and this is completely yelling at me, and that's why. Oops, not that. Oh my god, come. Okay, so this is going to say, so if it's an array and it is and schema data type is in the array, then we're going to continue. So this should get me, this should skip. I keep hitting the page up button and I never know where to skip the, call this, what, the simple data types. Right, so this should only be triggered for like the simple data types. So let's just see. Oh. Line 317, what have I done? Oh, I did something up here, didn't I? 317, what's this? Did I type something when I was up there? So what am I? I'm in pattern. Pattern. Look at pattern. Pattern is schema text. Schema time. Interesting. Okay. Schema date time. Ooh. Okay. Well, that's okay. Boolean. Yeah, makes sense. Number. Okay. Date. Sure. Okay. So that skips those data types. So that's cool. So I don't really wanna. Okay. I'm back in the text. Whatever. So cool. All right. So that makes sense. So we're gonna skip the simple data types because we don't want to. We're not creating a pattern, right? And then if it gets past that, we're gonna look for. I'm gonna do actually else in here, right? Because if it's not an array, then we want to skip anything that's not a class. Why is that so stupid? Right? Does that make? Okay. So skip is the RDS. So this should get us into. This should skip all the properties. And this should just get us classes. So anything down here should just be classes at this point, right? Right? Not saying? I don't know. So this is the idea of schema where that's class. Okay, no, sorry, pattern is that we're processing is, what's the pattern? It's creative work, cool, and it's got a billion properties, right? So, okay, so now in here, I think this is the part that we need to, get recursive with, right? So base, no, but we want to check. We're gonna, okay, so in here. Oh, wait a minute. Do you think we should generate a list of simple data types? I feel like that might be helpful. I feel like that might be helpful. Because then if we have a list of data types, then we can check against that list of data types and do what we need to do. So where should we store? Okay, I'm gonna do a private data types. Right. Woo. And just make that an array. So then in here, when I'm checking, this means that there is a data type. So I'm going to say this dot simple. What the hell did I call it? Data types. This dot data types equals. So I should be able to plunk the ID in there, and I should be able to plunk the pattern, and then maybe just like that. Maybe just get the whole pattern, right? And then why is this yelling at me? Oh, sorry. Okay, so now by this point we should have this data types thing available to us, right? Because now, what we could, sorry, I need to put this back on, because what I want to do later, there is method in my madness here. What I want to do later is I want to be able to say, okay, is anything in the class list basically, like, I want to be able to why didn't that work? Maybe I need to do that. I only want to think that's weird? Okay. Oh, I think that's because I'm looping through everything in the world there. So what? There we go. So this data types. Getting one schema text, gets everything in there. Okay, so skip through. Okay, this seems to be working. So what happens? Does it get screwy at the end or something? Okay. What? Oh. Oh. By the time it gets down here, it may not have populated all of that stuff. I feel like I need a couple. I feel like I need 2 loops now. Because if I get down here, by the time it's got there, it may not necessarily have figured out. Like it may not have gotten to text yet. I feel like there needs to be a list, a pre-generated list, or at least a way to like. Okay. I'm gonna loop this twice. This is not what I want to do. It's not what I want to do because this isn't gonna work because I need to be able to generate. I think the logic here is sound, but I think the problem is we made a. Oh, thanks. Yes, this is much better music than what I had before. I think the issue that we're going to run into here is because I'm processing a big list top to bottom. There's no guarantee in which order that list is, right? So if one of the if it's alphabetical, for example, creative work is going to come before text, and text is needed for one of its properties. So that's sort of an issue. So we might need to loop it twice, which is really not great. But I feel like I do need to get. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna do this, right? And then down here, I'm gonna go if test, and then right. If I run that, I should see. I don't need to have that there now. I should be able to. This. Okay, so I've got my data types, right? Text, time, date, time, Boolean, number, date. So that's all pretty straightforward stuff. So now that I have that, do I loop it all again? Man, that's so not performant. I wish there was a way of doing this better. I mean, I could just hard code those values for now. I could keep a list up here, you know, like const data types. All right, just do an array of all that stuff. Schema like text, schema time. I don't know how often these are going to change. Maybe for now, this is just what we do. I just really hate the idea of looping through that massive thing every time. Sorry, date, time. Maybe there's a place to do that elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like when I'm and schema. Right. So let's do this date. Right? Is that right? And do that. Boop, bop, boop. So text, time, date, time, Boolean, number, date. Okay. So those, I'm going to hard code these because that's how I want to do it. I'm going to just skip that because I don't need to process any of that stuff. Because what we can do now is we have this pattern so we can look these things up, but we don't have them generated at this point. So in here, we should be able to, what is yelling at me? What is this? Equal signs, get lost. Okay. Okay, so in here, okay, let's see. So I can get rid of that. So I think at this point, so once we get the property definition, right, we need to get the simplest data type it has. Get the simplest data type available, right, at this point. So if I run this, how are we doing for time? Doing good on time today. So in here, so property def is citation. So let's look at its type. Its type is a property. It's not super helpful. So we need to look that up by its allowed type. So it can be, represented by a creative work or a data or a schema text, right? So what we need to do is we need to do a lookup here. So how can we look up? We need to see, is one of these in the array, and then which one is it? So let's do a helper. So I'm going to do, well, this is going to be private function, get simplest data type, right? And this is going to require two things. This is going to be the types to check, and the types to check, right? So this is going to be type equals this. It's going to be hard to run that without the word function in front of it. I'm just going to stop that for now. Right, so this is going to be the types to check. So that's what I'm going to call this get simplest data type. Right, I'm going to pass the property def, oops, right, and it's going to be allowed types, right? So these are the allowed types. Okay, right, right. What's this yelling at me for? Okay, it's fine now. Okay. So by this point, I should have pretty much everything I need to find, right? You know what? I need to run this inside of here because, you know, proper programming practices. Right, so then I'm going to go, and then here I'm just going to go if type, and we're going to do this. So this is going to return something. So this needs to return whatever, something for now. Okay, so this is the recursive one, I think. Is this recursive? I don't know if it's recursive. I think technically this is the recursive bit, but so in type in here we're going to do this. So this is, we're going to basically make sure that it's getting what it needs, right? So if I run this, I don't think I need that in there. So I jumped out of this one. So type is ASDF because that's what I'm returning. But let's see, allowed. So this is going to be property def. It's going to have allowed types, and it's going to get blah, 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 blah. Okay, so in here, so allowed types is allowed types. I think it's always an array. I'm going to say if not is array. Allowed types. Oh, sorry, types to check. But what? If not, I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I'm gonna return false for now, which I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's always gonna be an array. Pretty sure, but if it's not, we're just gonna return false. I don't know why that would be the case. So, okay, so then in PHP, I can do, okay, so that's fine. So I can say if, okay, I want to compare two arrays in PHP, which I can never remember. Look, compare PHP arrays, look for any value in one array from another. So I'm sure there's something. Yeah, checking if any of an array's elements are into the blah, 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 blah. So what do we want to do here? So test for in array versus array intersect. Okay. Let's see. array intersect sounds like it's the thing that we want to use. So let's see what that does. So what does it return? Okay, so it just basically returns the things. That was surprisingly easy. Okay, so let's do this. Data equals array intersect, and it's going to be types to check, and then we have data types. What did I call it? Do I have to? I can't remember with classes. Nope. Where is it? This thing. Do I have to call self on that? I don't remember. Is it like self? That's what it is. Data types. Okay. So I think that might give us what we want. So let's see what it returns in here. I'm just gonna leave that up just in case. Start, run. Big bang. Let's see. Data. Got one item in there. Text. Hey, that's sweet, huh? So so the types to check, there was 2, and it returned text. So, is it presumptuous with the data to assume that we can do that? And it'll return, like there should just be 1 in there, right? Like if I go in there, simple, okay. So in here, okay, I need to just refresh this. Need to refresh that. And ooh, something failed. What was that? Ah, see that's the problem. Let's see what this returns then. Type is an array. Oh. Oh, so is there an array intersect like values maybe? Intersect key, intersect associating, what does that mean? You can array keys. Oh, great. But I want array values, I think. Because it looks like the keys are not coming. So the property def has got 2 items. So it's got 0 and 1. So this is actually returning 1. So if I had a list of 7, it could be any particular one. So maybe what I need to do is array values that. Does that make sense? Oh, you want to try that? Okay. Let's try that. So let's go array. What would you pick? Array keys like this. Let's see what that returns. This is a great suggestion. Man, my PHP is rusty. Let's see what comes back now. Ooh. Oh, stop. Okay, so type. Boom. Oh. So it's array values, I think I want, right? So can I do values in here? Let's try that. So let's see type. Schema text. Okay, so that's always going to have a 0 value unless, what does array intersect return if it, does it just return an empty array if it doesn't find anything? Returns an array containing all the values there and exist in the premise. So if it, so am I able to, keys are preserved, okay. Am I able to surmise that it will return an empty array if nothing? So if I go, okay, so I'm gonna get my data, right? And I say if is it array length? No, count, that's what it is. If count data is less than 1. Wait, it's gotta be in the PHP array empty. You see how bad I am at PHP now? Man, PHP array empty. So, okay, so this is count. Okay, so we'll just use count. Man, rusty. I'm gonna set that to 0. Then this will return false, I guess, as well. Otherwise, we're gonna say array values. I don't know if we can do this in PHP, but I'm gonna try it. Doesn't look like it likes it, but let's see. What's this? Try that. Does empty actually check it? Okay, sure, empty. You know what I'm gonna do? I like to do this. I've always liked this pattern, so I'm gonna say false, right? I like this. So what I'm gonna always return that. That's always gonna get returned. But I'm gonna modify some of these things, right? So if I have to change the logic with beta in here, right? And empty is a bool. Yeah, yep, yeah, yeah. No, I haven't got there yet. So what I'm gonna do is not empty. I'm gonna say return equals. It's gonna be array values data, and then we're gonna plunk on the old that. That's what's gonna get returned. And this is gonna stop yelling at me. And then if is array, this should wrap all this, I guess. All right, seems a bit like I don't really necessarily need it. I'm pretty sure it's always going to be an array. Okay, so then this is going to be false, and then if it's an array, and then we get data, and then it's not empty, then we're going to set return to be that. What? Why? Oh, and then it's going to just return. So it's either going to return false or it's going to return a string. All right, so this is going to be retrieve simplest data type. Retrieve the simplest data type from a list. There we go. And the param is going to be, it's an array, and it's types to check, and the list to check. And we'll just type this as an array because that's what we should do. And I can do this, and this is going to be at return mixed. It's the type as a string or a Boolean false if not found. There we go. Okay. What is this yelling at me? White space. Screw off here. White space here. Okay. Empty is a bool. So if it's not empty, the data, we're going to return blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, return that. Okay, cool. So now we should have our simplest data type here, right? So, and then we need to just basically figure out what we need to do. We're feeling it's going to be fairly simple. So the type is schema text, right? So if it's schema text, what were we doing up here? What were we doing before? We were basically adding a paragraph text or tag, were we not? I think that's what we were doing. Oh, is everyone dropping off? Getting bored? Okay. So now we have the type. So now based on the type, we can, so if we have a type, we can now start generating so how do we, okay, let me look at this again. I think in the loop we're actually registering this stuff. So I'm gonna grab this. So this is gonna be generating up some pattern stuff for us. right? So this is going to generate the pattern, all that. And then we need to, basically going to be just prepending or appending that onto there. Because for the most part, they're all going to be paragraph texts for now. For now, let's do this, right? So we're going to do that. And then I want to register, we're going to register the block pattern. That's what we're going to do down here. And I want to just see what this does in the thing. So if for each pattern property. Okay. So actually this is going to be here. So type, so I think this is all going to sort of work. Let's just run, let's turn this on. What this is going to do. So far so good, no errors. We know patterns. We should have a schema pattern. Did I? Okay. Oh wow. So here's our creative work that shows the schema. So I mean, these are all just patterns right now, but it's a group with a heading, which I just plunked in, and then we've got all these paragraph blocks, which are not super helpful. But I think we're getting somewhere here, right? Why is that not registering? Did I pull out the block pattern stuff? Oh, I did. Let me just put that back in. Sorry, this register the block pattern category, which I'm gonna just plunk into here for now. Or okay, so this is going to generate the pattern. So I'm going to put that in there, right? Because we're calling some APS stuff anyways. Send it software. We're building a schema. Well, first of all, thanks for hanging out, and thanks for the follow. I don't know why my follows aren't showing up in my thing. Something's going on here. I don't know why I'm not getting any notifications as that's happening. I apologize for not calling it out earlier. But we're building. Basically, we're going to try to build a schema builder. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why it didn't happen. I really don't know. I can try to, some weirdness afoot here. Something's going on. So if I don't know where my events are coming from. Maybe they're coming from, see the follow events coming from Stream Elements, which is strange. Maybe I have to like relog into Stream Elements or something. Anyways, well, I'm sorry. This is what should have happened. It's just not showing up now.
Oh, you made a wise choice, my friend.
See? That's what should have happened. Because you did make a wise choice. And I don't know why that didn't happen. Maybe my Stream Elements is let me just do this off camera here. I need to like log in or something. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Well, I'll have to figure that out. I don't understand why that's not working, so I apologize. But thank you for the follow. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with us today. I will get this sorted out. I will figure it out. I'm just not sure why it's not working. So let's... What the deuce? What the deuce is exactly right. What the deuce is... What the deuce is... There's always something with this. Always something. So... Can't... I don't know. Okay. Well, you know what? I will figure it out. But thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate you. But what we're building today is we're going to try to use schema.org to generate block patterns. That's basically what we're doing. And we've gotten to the point now where we can actually generate these patterns. And it shows us the type, shows us the property. So if we were to insert one of our things now, let's see. Do I have schema in here now under pattern? It takes a long time to do that. There's schema. So you can see if you wanted to look at, I don't know, let's look up. Let's do a search. Job posting. So here we go, Paul. Here's your job posting. So immediate start, job benefits. So clearly, like this is just the text, right? But these are all paragraph blocks. So the question, it's all schema, but umps. So at this point, we've generated this. We have all these properties now, right? Now the only thing that this doesn't really do is it doesn't. So there's something else that we should look at here. So job posting. So if you look at any of these classes, they have these properties that they have, right? So there's a ton of properties, but then there's also these properties that it inherits, right? So for example, there is a description. I don't know. Let's see. Is there a description in our job posting here? I don't see one. So it inherits from thing. So that's the other part. So there's no description. There's no URL, title, stuff like that, right? I'm gonna get rid of all these things. So that's one issue that we need to figure out, right? All the inheritance stuff. So there should be a thing, but does it inherit? Do all things inherit all things from thing? Like how does it know what it inherits? That's the thing. That's the thing that it inherits properties from thing. So what does thing have? Thing must have a buttload of properties. So does it have main entity of page? It does. So can we assume that all things from this thing, all classes inherit from that? All right. Occupational category. Oh, keep doing that. Let's look. Occupational category. There's occupational category. We will need this. So you will need all those things from things. Okay. So, oh boy. Okay. Okay. So we need then to do that in a different place. So we have schema. So in our generate patterns from schema, what we want to do is when we get to here, turn patterns. So array push patterns. So schema for each schema as node. So somewhere I guess, is this where the range implicit is false? So I guess somewhere like in here, we need to decorate with properties from, I guess it's going to be schema thing. All right, let's try that. So I feel like we're getting pretty close. So thing, where's thing? So thing is null. Oh, not pattern. I'm sorry. We need to get node ID. So, okay. So, oh boy. All right. Oh man, how are we going to do this? We're going to have to do that. Oh man, we're going to have to do that in a different way because schema thing may not be. Oh hey, Titus, we're building a schema, so we're trying to build patterns based on schema.org. That's the gist of it. So we need to process all the things, process pattern list. We need another function that runs. We need another function. So this is going to be I'm going to say whatever, public function decorate items from thing. right? I think we're gonna have to do that way. Because what we're gonna need to do, and then we're gonna need to come in here, and I need to drop this in here, right? So I need that. So this is gonna be patterns, right? So stop this. So my reasoning is that we need, because we need to have access to this thing before we can actually decorate the stuff that it inherits from. Now, does everything inherit from thing? Like, how can we determine what it inherits from? Oh boy, we're getting close, but like if we look at I mean, maybe we just need to assume that it all inherits from it, and maybe that's just what we have to do at this point. So, okay, so then let's up in here, we're gonna say, so before we can generate the pattern list, we're gonna have to decorate so then we're going to actually end up overriding the patterns. Okay, so in here, I just want to do that. Not happy with this right now. So thing is this. So we've got 12 properties. Oh, that's not helpful. I want the actual value. Copy as expression? Not helpful. I want copy the values. It says, oh, it says no copy value. I mean, we can do this, I guess. I'm gonna do this for now. This is thing props. It's going to be an array, and it's going to do this. There's a guarantee there's a better way of doing this, or a different way of doing this, but I think I want to get this working, and then we can look at like some better ways of maybe cleaning up the code, because what's happening here is basically we have to loop and then loop and then loop and then loop, and I don't like this at all, because I mean, like, eventually we're gonna, like, you know, it's already taking forever to load stuff, and we don't want want that. I wish there was a way of copying all these values. Can I just? No, I can't. So type description value. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start this description. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to basically start the properties with this value, and then that'll like, I'll show you what I'm talking about here, because this will just give all the properties, all the things. Now I need this potential action copy. All right, copy value. Oops. Okay, put it on the top there, and then schema name, copy value, and then all this. Oh, this music's epic right now. It's awesome. I feel like I'm like in Top Gun or something. Just like riding out to battle with my web development posse. I don't know, whatever. Shut up, Richard. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to take thing props, and then when I start to generate the properties, I'm going to do this. Array, merge, Self. I think I need 2 of those things, don't I? Empty array. Right, I think that's what I want to do. And then we're going to do the same thing here. And then we're going to do properties here again. And then time this is kind of silly. I don't really need to merge that array, but let's just do that. Where am I doing this? Is this in the class? It is in the class. Why is this yelling me for? Unexpected. Okay, so I hope that should now get us what we need. Oh, is this stopped? It is stopped. Oh, stopped us. Now, ooh. Generate patterns from schema. Oh, because, yeah. I don't need to do that now, actually. I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need this function because I'm just hard coding that stuff manually. And Paul, you can yell at me if you want, but that's what we're gonna do because it's a lot easier. And I don't think those things pull the default thing. It would, but I don't know where it is. That's the problem. I have to like find it. I have to basically look it up inside of like I can get it from the schema. So here's the reason why I can't do it inside of where I wanted to do it, because it's is it in here? It's in here. The problem is I can't loop through this because of the order in which I'm looping things, right? There's no guarantees that when I'm building it here, sorry, so this is the function that takes that schema and then turns it into my list of patterns. There's no guarantee that when I start to try to add those properties, that thing actually exists yet. That's the problem. So I could run I could do this again. I could basically loop this and look for any ID that is like look for the ID that is schema or sorry thing, and then I'll have that available to me. I mean that's one way of that's definitely a way of doing it. I'm not, but then we're already doing a lot of looping, right? So I'm just worried that like eventually the memory, you know, running this, I don't know what this is going to look like running it on an actual website or even a slow website because there's a lot of stuff going on. But ooh, that's not the one, but we'll figure it out. So let's look at job posting. Now let's little job posting. Now that we have, yep, name, okay, skills, should be URL in here somewhere. Does anybody see it? Let's look at schema job posting. So this should be inheriting from, where does it show me where it inherits from? So additional type, alternative name, description, is it getting in there? Additional type, alternative name, yeah. Description, identifier, name, okay, cool. So it's in there. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's like 3,000 items in this array. So like it's O-N, like it's gonna be, worst case scenario, I have to loop through this schema all the way to the end, which is super non-performant, unfortunately. I mean, maybe we can look at it in a different way. Maybe I can, start caching this stuff because I'm not really doing much in the way of caching. So like maybe the pattern list should probably be cached as well, right? Am I even using this? I don't know if I'm using this anywhere. Oh, I forget how to do this. Do you do it like that? Is that what it yells at you to do? I think so, right? It's like holds the raw schema. Var tag, bar, array. Oh, I wanted to check something. Description was just, it was destroying this last time, and I don't know why. When I was registering all these things, the description was just absolutely breaking. It was like killing the, it was like breaking the yeah. What? I'm gonna figure that out. I don't know what's going on with that. It will have to be cached and cached. Yeah, there'll be a lot of caching going on for sure. I mean, maybe like the pattern should probably be cached. Like we should probably be pulling, like all of this stuff, right? It should be basically going, okay, does patterns exist? If it does, just return those patterns. Like, you know, we should be doing we should be doing this, right? So like right up here, you know. First check for cached patterns list, right? That's what we should do. First thing is check that. I don't want to start caching it quite yet because I want to make sure, I think things are working the way they're supposed to be working at this point. I think actually we're safe now that we can, I can probably just delete this whole, I'm doing everything that I've done here. So now we're at the point where we don't need this hook anymore. So this can go away, right? We don't need that. So this is our class to build stuff, right? So this is generating properties. Now, what's next? Like, so let's, you know, we have a job posting. Let's look for job posting. Let's spell it right to look for job posting. We're gonna insert our job post, so we have all this. So this isn't super helpful, but like what do we need to do here? So we need to do we need block variations? Do we need, like, you know, this is just a giant list of blocks, right? Now, the one thing we had sort of shown, or we were sort of talking about, was like this sort of like the schema goes in here, right? We haven't really built that out. I just delete those. Delete. Oh my gosh, delete those. Save this. We have a job posting in here, right? So what is this? I don't know. Is this? So do we need to do some things like, for example, title? Like, do we, like, sorry, Paul, you just said yes. I asked 5 questions. What 5 questions? Which question are you saying yes to, my friend? My good friend. Well, they all are. They're all blocks. So I mean, you could do a group block inside of this, right? Like, so we can do that. So variations. So we need to generate variations. So how do we generate variations? So, okay. So we had some patterns. So, right. So let's look up block variations. Go to the block editor handbook. We'll look up block variations. We will need to make some title. Make a title? So so the thing about block variations is that they have to be done in PHP and JavaScript. I don't think we can register block variations in PHP. Which means that we now have to generate a way to have JavaScript know about all this schema. So like if we want to have a block variation, right? If we want it, so like all these properties can be variations, but that's going to mean a million properties, like an absolute bajillion properties of them. Which we were kind of working on in here, right? So we registered this block variation, right? So schema builder, that's that thing. Okay, so that's this thing. But if you wanted to say have like this, right? So schema prop is description. Actually, I don't think this is. Let's start this. So we need to basically register these block variations like on the fly, after. We have to figure out how to do that. Okay, hold on. So if I refresh this now, description. Let's look. How did we? Job description. This is a paragraph. So what is making that into a job description? Okay, so what I need is to look at schema prop is description. So what's the schema prop? Come on. Look at the editor here. So. Oh. Okay, so if I make this, so if I change that, it should be rebuilt. So now if we come back in here, next to the code editor, yeah, just refresh it. Now look at the description. So this is showing me as a job description block. Problem is, I don't think that is just a job description. Name, job immediate start. I mean, like, how is it helping? I guess my question now is, how is it sort of helping? Like these, we need, like these are going to be very, let's look up, if I look up schema, what am I looking at? So description. Let's see what schema description shows up. So if I go in here and I check for that, description, it's a product. So it can be used on these types of subproperties. Maybe that's not the best one. Let's look at one like name, schema name. Let's see if that falls. So the name property. Okay, responsibilities. I'm trying to determine if there's something that like if there's some of these properties that are used in multiple places. Because I mean, if this property, this schema benefits only appears, it can only be used on job posting, then we can call it job benefits, right? But if it's used, if there's ones that are more generic, like valid through, for example, this may be available in more than one thing, right? Oh yeah, so here we go. So in demand, job posting, location feature, monetary amount, offer. So it's hard for us to say what this property represents. Check. So if I go into here and I go into appearance themes, no editor, it's not right. I go into patterns. So I can go into schema. I get 900 schema patterns. So I mean, the thing that you could do is you could provide the patterns like this. All right, what does this do? Like these are the raw patterns, for example. Obviously, we need to do something a little bit nicer. But if you went in like to whatever, let's pick this one and we duplicated it, right? We can keep it synced. Then you could edit this to what you wanted it to be. But Okay, so at this point, we have it generating patterns based on the properties of a particular class. So I think that's check. That's good at this point. We have 900 classes available to us. Maybe we need to filter out some of the ones that we don't want. But now we're into the place where how do we make these patterns functional? Like how do we make these make sense? And so you will be so we need to be able to determine. I think I'm at the point now where I'm not sure what the next steps are, Paul. Like what are we looking for in particular things? You know, like, so okay, we've got a pattern and we've got a block that represents each property, which is great. That's a win. But you know, and its group block is going to handle the schema, right? So we need to be able to handle the schema. Like, what do we need it to look like? Like, for example, so like something in here, right? The schema builder. Where's my schema builder, right? So we can look at the inner blocks. Inspect autofill. So we can see we have 37 inner blocks, so I can get all of this stuff, right? You can see the attributes. There's what is this? Content, class name, schema, props, title, right? So that's the title of whatever the job posting is going to be, in the content. All right, so let's look at some examples. Let's go to like job postings. So there's an example here of job posting. So we want what? JSON LD, is that what we're looking for? Context, type, job posting, base salary, it says values, right? So job location. I want to look at something here. So all of these are represented. Where is this thing? All of these are represented as like employment type. Sorry, I gapped out thinking about how we would accomplish this. So, like, we can do this right now, technically, right? Like, it's possible to do this because all we need to do is generate. Like, this is the title. So this is the title block, right? So if we were to go in here, we could go, okay, here's the title: Protoplasmic Entity Containment Technician Updated, which is a fantastic name, by the way. Right, so there we go. And then we could do, so there's like a keep looking. So like, we would put in a group block, maybe. I don't know. We'll put in like a we'll do that. We'll make it like this, and then what is it? So New York remote contract to hire. So we need to find the thing. Can I just move that? I just want to move that. I could just, which one is it? Schema text. So So here's job location type, right? So we could just move that up into your group, right? Boop, right? So we've got, I'm just gonna make this background color just different so we can see it, and the text color is gonna be will be a white. All right, so we can plunk all this stuff into it, and the job posting will still figure out the schema, right? So that it's not a question of being able to assemble what you're talking about here. Like this is the job description, right? This is the whatever. This is, I don't know what that refers to, but it's possible to build this out, right? But what we need to do, what we're talking about is we've created these patterns. Like, I don't know. So like here's, you know, the problem is I don't know what each one is. So this is what location. So we need to find location. Employment time. So you'd have to put the one in there that's for location, which is where. Or is there a job location? Maybe we're missing some now. Because, oh, maybe there are some properties that are not, maybe there are properties that are not, can't be represented by simple types. Like if you look at job posting, for example, like is there a location in here? Text defines, occupation. So relevant occupation is only represented by occupation. Valid, where is the location? Base salary. Hiring, industry, job benefits, immediate start. So there's a place. So job location isn't being added because it's a place. So there we go. So it's okay. So there's still more work that needs to be done. Oh my God, this is turning into craziness. I'm starting to wonder if it's going to be technically possible. Like, hold on. So if we go into this group, right, and I want to insert something, let's go pattern. Let's go job. Insert location. Virtual locations, local business, allocate action force. Like if you inserted that into your group, right? It's a place. Oh, so we need a place, right? But we need something that's representative of that place. So this is going to have to be right. So this is schema. So I'm going to remove this. So if I delete this and I insert, if I look for place, I've got a place property. Where that goes, right? Place, and it can go inside of this group, and then you can do whatever you want inside that group, right? So this is kind of how we sort of kind of figured out how we'd want to do this, right? Like location type, public access. So then this group has to contain what its type is, I guess, right? Is that what it is? So how, I can't remember how we did it. Let's look. Schema prompt, nope. What's the title? I'm gonna put another group in there, right? Schema prompt, title. Make it back to photo editor, and just I'm just gonna delete this, and then we'll put a place in there. Right, so you insert a place, then you look at the place. This group should have something. Category schema, pattern schema, name is place. So then if you were to look at here, oops, job location, add type is place. So you can pull the place that way. Yeah. Maybe we nest the pattern somewhere. when it's class, we add pattern for the class. I don't understand what that means, Paul. I'm sorry. Yeah, so like what we have to do is make sure that all the patterns are generated. So we need to build out, we need to register every single pattern. But I'm doing this the wrong way. Like if I want to insert this this pattern, right? I guess the patterns are already defined, right? So, but are they defined? No, they're not, because I'm registering the pattern name. So they can't be self-referential because we're looping through an unknown list. If I were to be like, you know, like I want to insert a pattern that I've already sort of excuse me, I've already defined. Excuse me. It's almost like we need to get the markup all generated for all the things, like this, and then register patterns so they can refer to each other. Like this is like patterns nested inside of patterns. It's basically what it's going to be. Which I don't know if we can do that. Okay, so this is another hiccup that we need to work through, but I don't know how we can do that right now. I need to think on it a bit. I need to think on this a bit. This is a big problem. Not a problem. This is an interesting thing to try to solve. We need to figure out. So when building patterns and hit a class, not a primitive object, we add the pattern for the class. Yes, assuming that the pattern for that class has been registered already, right? Because remember, we're looping through every pattern that we've generated. We're looping through all the patterns that are held in memory. But we can't update. Maybe I not understand what you're trying to say, but when we registered this block pattern, that block pattern has become registered. So we need to ensure that all the classes, all the markup, we're dynamically generating the markup as well. So we need to basically hold all that markup in memory before we register the block pattern. So we can then access that and say, oh, okay, now for each item that we're plunking in, it's a simple data type. Okay, give it a paragraph block, for example. It's not a simple data type. Give it the pattern that we've created, the markup for the pattern, and add that, right? And then those patterns aren't synced. That's the other problem. Those patterns won't, because once you insert the pattern, they're not connected anymore. Interesting. You, yeah, okay. That's an interesting approach. Okay, Paula, I'm not sure how the placeholder would help. Like we you know, we could. Yeah, no. I mean, there's a way of indicating what should go in there, but I mean, we also have to keep them like. this is a very complicated problem. A problem. So we have two parts. So what we have right now is basically all the classes, for the most part, being generated as patterns, right? Which is good. So we're at the point now where a class has all its stuff. Where we're starting to fall apart is when there is a property that is not defined by a simple data type. That's something that we need to fix, basically. Like, we need to handle non-simple data types and classes, right? So that's an issue that we have to fix. So you load this plugin, and it basically builds out the references to all of the. So maybe we need to put a group block in there. But then, yeah. So this, yeah, job with, yeah. So this is like, yeah. Okay, cool. All right. That's a cool thing. So what we need to have is the ability to, register block patterns. Like, can we get, register pattern, instance register. So what's this pattern registry? Let's look at the pattern registry. I'm just wondering, can we go back and retrieve all of the patterns? We can probably get all the patterns. We can unregister them all and re-register them. So we can get all the registered things, and then we can loop through them. So maybe what we do is maybe we're not registering these yet. Okay, let's try something here. So this get simplest data type. So if it's not empty, otherwise it's going to return false. So let's check what happens. So something's happening in our return false state, right? So if this means, so this is going to be, we need to handle non-simple data types and classes in here. So there's going to be something, I think, in here, oops, that we need to deal with, right? Right, so let's drop that, put this in here, save this, and jump in here. So maybe we can just put a placeholder for now, come back and replace that with something. So this is this what? 290. What did I do wrong? Oh, it's good to it's definitely good when you okay, let's run this again. Oh, I gotta turn that on. So we should get in there at some point. There we go. So what's allowed types? Where are we? Prop def, lab types, schema URL. Okay. Schema event or schema creative work. So this is, what am I doing here? Property, prop def. This is subject of event creative work. Well, now we're back into like, which one is it? which one do we use? Okay. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong button. So an image, it's got a URL or an image object. So here's okay. I think this makes sense to do what we're trying to do here. We're basically going to get the simplest data point type. If there's a simple data type, then we need to figure out if there is a simple data type, wrap it in the paragraph block for now, whatever, return it. If there is not, basically we're in a situation where there could be one or more allowed types that represents this. So I don't know at what point do we handle, like how do we know, right? So there's like, maybe what we do here is we insert something. We go like what do we call heading? Just gonna grab that whole heading block and just plunk it in here. All right, we do this. We go placeholder. All right, put a little placeholder in there. So what is this? Property. Because we don't. Oh, I'm starting to think of a possible solution here. It's definitely gonna require. What is this on here for? Yeah, okay. So we jump back in here now, and I just delete everything. And let's go to patterns. Let's go job. Posting. So you see we've got these object subject. So we've got these placeholders now. All right. And the idea would be, I guess we'd come back and we would determine what these things are somehow, right? They're in no discernible order, either EGP to title. Then we need to basically be able to, like, deployment unit. So that's okay. And so how do we now determine? Okay, so we have this. This is great. We now have our simple data types dealt with, right? Oops. Our simple data types are here. Our not so simple data types are here with a placeholder. I'm just putting the property name in. It doesn't really matter at this point. Schema prop is going to be. I'm going to put that in the property. Put property in there. That. Because that's going to be the property. This is going to change. It should probably be, it'll end up being a group block, I'd imagine. Right. Oh, let's, but here's a question, and this is actually a really good segue. So what I'm thinking now, so let's say we have these things, right? Let's run through this. So allowed types, it's right here. So allowed types has got a single thing. So we can probably figure out what that needs to be, right? That's fine. But then when we get to this point where it's like either an event or a creative work, how does this pattern that we're building know which one of those it should be, right? Like, how is that determined? This is where the user comes in, I think. I think this is where the user comes in. And I'm wondering if this is a really good use case for like an admin screen at this point, right? So we don't know which one should be used. And Paul, we need a way to swap. What do you mean you need a way to swap? Well, here's what I'm thinking. swap. I understand what swap means, but you're saying you want to be able to swap patterns inside the pattern. So here's what I was sort of thinking. What if we had, like, some of these questions are easily answered and some of them are not. The ones that require user input, what if we had an admin screen that allowed you, I don't know, in settings or something, to be able to say, for this pattern, right? We have an admin screen that there's a pattern selector, and you say, you can, like, what would be really cool? Maybe something along these lines. Maybe something like that looks like, and this is just an excuse because I really want to do something with this. Layout. Let's go like table or grid, right? So say we did something grid. Say we had something like this, right? Where maybe tables, the better way of doing it. Where you had this. Let's look at patterns. Patterns uses this as well. So we had the a table grid, right? And this represented the thing. So we have the pattern name, right, that we created. So job posting, and then there's like some kind of mapping tool in here where you could say that, like, okay, so for example, what are we looking at here? What's the one we were looking at in here? It's not gonna work. But then we're gonna basically say, like anything. So for what is this property def? Property def is what? So for this, the schema subject of, you can pick whether it's an event or it's a creative work. Yeah, but you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't replace entire patterns, though, Paul. You can transform between block types. Yes, will work. What will work? Like if you go into just a post. Okay, this is actually something that I need to for my own edification. Like if I grab like the group block, right, that represents this, I can change this block. Shuffle do. Oh my god, it shuffles them? Hilarious. I can create a pattern from this, but I don't think it's possible. Taxi reservation. What is that? Oh, this is just shuffling block. That's interesting. I don't think you can just say, okay, I want to convert this. I want to change this to a different pattern. I don't think that's possible. So, I mean, it might be cool to be able to grab this placeholder and then let's select the parent block. So this is going to change it to the block that you want it to be. Oh, there's a pattern here. I wonder, so, oh, interesting. What does that do? So, if I click on that and go to patterns, this turns it into this converts the pattern to a heading. Be interesting to be able to say, how is that defined, I wonder? Okay, well, that's something to look into. Let's look at, what's it? Title, description, optional, visually hidden text, okay, the categories, keywords, block types, an array of block types that the pattern is going to be used with. Each value needs to be declared block's name. Post types, array of template types where the pattern makes sense. For example, 4, the patterns, okay. Starter optional, wait full, starter, okay. I have to look into that. I don't know how we get something in there. I don't know if that's a thing. Like if I go in here and I go in, see, it doesn't seem to show up in there. So why does it show up in here? Let's look at the heading. Let's look at the heading block source code. That's what we're gonna do. I wonder if it's not. That's not what I wanted. Sorry. I wonder if you can maybe it's transform. Let's look. Okay, packages and block library and source, and there's a heading block. Starts with an H. Heading, and let's look into transforms. And let's see. Selector, prefix, to block. Okay, that doesn't seem to help. Index, there's something in here. Maybe I need experimental label, transforms, merge. I'm gonna have to look into that because I'm not sure if maybe hold on, maybe block JSON is something. Supports experimental border color, typography, experimental paste. Okay. I'll have to look into that a little bit further. I don't really know where that would come up where I can grab that. But anyways, my idea, so there's a couple things that we can do. If there's a way to basically grab this block and say, oh, I want to convert this into a, what does that do? Shuffle. So that just puts patterns in there. That does not seem helpful to me at all. In this transforms group, okay, whatever, okay. So, oops. This looks like it switches from a pattern to a pattern. I really don't know. Okay. I don't know. Okay, so we got to figure that out. Yeah, the shuffle thing is a little bit strange. I don't know where the shuffle comes from. So this is definitely a group. So the shuffle doesn't happen on a block. Does it happen on a group? So it looks like group things can have that. Maybe it's just for the schemas. Let's put a schema in there. Let's grab this. Creative work. So if I hit shuffle, I seem to get, oh, I see it. So this shuffles from the same category. That's what it is. So you have lots of stuff in a category. I think that'll be how that works. That's an interesting control. It's in there. Yeah, I'm not using Gutenberg or anything. I don't think I have Gutenberg installed. Let's check. Oh, yeah, sure, pretty sure I don't. I only have just our plugin installed, so that's in there. So that's an interesting thing. I'll look into that because shuffle's neat, but it's also not very helpful for certain circumstances. Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe what we can do is, I think this needs to be a setup step for all this. Maybe all this shouldn't happen. Maybe this should happen in an admin screen. right? Where we generate all this stuff, and then there's like, hey, there's some questions about mapping that you need to answer. And then people can just build out their because the other thing too is that, like, is there default data? Is there default content? Because I mean, like, none of this makes any sense. Like, so if I just grab this and I'm like, oh yeah, this makes no sense. So what's the identifier? What's the name? How's that different than title, skills, date posted? Like, some of this stuff makes sense, but maybe we need placeholder content, and maybe that's where this data views comes in. Maybe each one of these, maybe we can look at each property and we can say, the property, is this, and you can have some placeholder value for that somehow. That might be an interesting thing. So I think we're agreed that we need some kind of like admin screen to manage this, because we can generate this stuff, but now that we've generated it, it's becoming clear to me anyways that it's not that helpful. It's not super helpful at all. It's getting the initial thing that we wanted to have happen, where we can basically generate schema, which we would be able to do, but the values don't necessarily help. They get better when we do like this, right? When we have our job posting. So this shows all the possible things that we can have in there, right? So hiring, organization, relevant occupation, job location. So I mean, like, some of these things are going to be pretty standard. Like, Paul, I would imagine that your hiring or organization thing is going to be like, it's going to be the same, right? Unless it's like a, or maybe not. I don't know. Application requirements. Like, what does that look like? Applicant requirements. Like, what if, how do you search for that? So what does that even look like? So this is a thing. So it can be used on these types, and it's expected to be of the type administrative area. So it might be good to have a look at some of these things. Like, not all these will be needed. Yeah, probably not. Maybe that's another thing that we need to have. Maybe we need to be able to turn these on and off. Maybe this is a tool that generates. So again, if we look in our I'm just using this as an example. But if we created an admin screen using a data view, like, that basically showed us all the schemas, right? We could do things like we could have an action in here, like, not duplicate, but maybe we could be like, oh yeah, no, we don't want this one. Like, come in here and turn off the ones that you don't want. Maybe that's what we need to do, because there's 45 pages of these things, which is a bit much. Like, there's 900 items. So I mean, being able to come through these and so job posting, right? So we want this one. We can go in there and edit it. It's got properties. So there's some things. So maybe that's what we do. Maybe that's the next step, right? Hide, delete, type, title, but like change the title. And so this is going to be stored. So we're doing this in a completely. I think we're doing this wrong. I think what we need to do is no longer generate patterns. I think what we need to do is generate hold this data, maybe even in a custom post type, and then we can. Then this stuff can be managed in a much easier way, right? Because then we can store. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what we need. Maybe it's this, because we really should be storing this information somewhere. Because then when the patterns are registered, we can pull from the database. We can get all the markup. Maybe there's a builder in here like we're basically building patterns, right? So we might be able to just say, okay, I want to work on where'd that go? This is the pattern that I want to work on, so I'm gonna insert the things that I need. Well, the scope is just blown up, but anyhow, I think maybe we need to look at some data view stuff, which is nice because I've been wanting to try to figure out something with data views for a while. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. So we can maybe we can map this to custom post types. Maybe we can do that. Maybe what we need to do now is, instead of doing all this redonkulousness, maybe what we need to do is create a taxonomy we could have a post type. It represents each class. A post type for each class. And then we can use taxonomies to manage the properties, right? And then in our properties, maybe that's what we can do. We can have a CPT for each class, and then a taxonomy for properties, and a taxonomy for allowed types. And then we just map that stuff, right? Because then we just pull this in. And we can basically pull this in and then and generate our custom post type. What do we think? It feels right to me, because then in the data view we can just retrieve the data types that we're looking for, taxonomies, and then there'll be questions around, like, because then we'll see that, like, we can see. Let's try to think here. So we have a property. That property can have term meta, maybe, that represents the allowed types, the stuff that it can be represented by. So we've been barking up the wrong tree, but I think this has all been a good exercise in figuring out how we should figure this out, like how we should do it. If I was being paid to do this, I probably would have sat down and mapped this out, on paper first. But I don't want to do that. That makes for a boring stream. Just watching me do this. Anyways, okay, I think we have a good starting point. I think what we can do now is. I'm probably going to drop off, but I eat some lunch and stuff. But I think having this do some stuff with custom post types might be the way to go, because then it only needs we can set this on a cron and it can just check this stuff out, right? Like if properties change or whatever. I think that's what we want to do, and then we'll set up a data view somewhere to manage the mapping, right? So we could have a post type. It'll be a private post type. It'll be available for the REST API, and then schema mapping. And then what? We still have the issue of, like, connecting like connecting a particular block, like a list block. Like, how do we use the list block? How do we like so far the blocks that we're using are super simple, right? It's just a paragraph block or a heading block. But there are things that like where's the this one, like these things, like does that. Because what we want to do is we want to be able to display this stuff. Some people might want to display this as, okay, this is a list. It's going to be New York, remote, contract to hire, in a list. And so, like, when we have a list, it's not really what we're doing. Right, like if we do like your list view, like what are these? These are list item blocks, right? So they don't have, we need to be able to have a way for people to put a list item in there, but still have it represent any potential thing, right? Like any potential schema item. So it's, you know, we need to basically be able to put, need to be able to put that schema prop that we're registering for. Where am I here? Like in here, I think we're adding. Where am I doing that? Like in here. I guess we're doing it for everything, right? So all blocks can accept that, right? Which is fine, which is good. So any block now has the ability, has these two properties, these attributes available. So we can, when we're creating these templates, I guess what we would need to happen is we would need to do something in the editor, right? Like in the site editor, because site editor, here's what we need to do. So we have a template, right? Or a pattern, right? These patterns, because they're registered in code, they're locked, so we can't really do anything with them. But if we were to duplicate this, for example, plugins can now register patterns or templates as well. So that might be something that we can look at. Where'd that go? Oh yeah, I just duplicated that. Where did that go? Where'd that go? Okay, so delete this one. I don't need that one. Delete. So maybe at the pattern level, when we're clicking on these things, there's a like we can add something in here that's only available in the slot, right? Like we can add it so only if we're in the site editor and whatever, then there's the option of saying, okay, well this is going to be like, so we build the pattern out in here, but people have to, whoever's building patterns has to map them. Right, but there's also the possibility of using a template too, I guess. But your templates are a little bit more, like if you have a job posting page, that's one thing. You can definitely do it in here. And plugins, I think in the latest version of Gutenberg, I think plugins can actually register templates. Now, in fact, I know they can, which is pretty cool. So we could do that. You could register a job posting template, and maybe that's all we do for now, right? And that template gets built out in a certain way. But again, you need to. But you know, I don't know. I'm all over the place. This is a big undertaking. This is a huge plugin that I think, you know, can show a lot of really cool things. So maybe next week we'll start on the data view stuff. We'll look at how plugins can register templates. Maybe we'll look at those two things and see where that takes us. What do we think? How are we feeling about all that? All right. Well, silence is complicitness, so I will do that next week. I think that's probably where we need to go. So we're going to change gears a little bit. We're still going to work on the same, but we're going to look at some more some new things in Gutenberg and start looking at the data view, how we can get that sorted out. I know my friend and colleague Wanma has a developer blog post I think coming out soon on that. So hopefully it's out. If it is, I'll post it and you can all have a read through that. The data views are going to be really cool. Okay, cool. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to say adios and thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.